To our subconsciousness, there is no present, past, or future, but they are essential to the English grammar. Together with 4 aspects and 2 voices, they make more than 20 verb forms. And this is where so many English learners give up. But don't worry, because this Google Sheet just got real. So let me guide you through this. It's very likely that by the end of this video, you will have found out that your learning or teaching experience will never be the same again. Or even if you're awakened at 3 a.m., you'll finally be able to tell when the past perfect continuous is used. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of how this sheet works and what makes it the ultimate verb form, English verb form collider. Pretty much it is the Lamborghini of the English grammar reference materials online. So let me take you for a ride. So it starts with this dashboard, which follows the pattern of our thinking when we build a sentence or a phrase. So the first element is the subject, and so this is the doer of the action. Who or what does it? So this is where we pick the subject, and so it just goes down to 3 main groups: I, he, she, it, or you with a. Let's see, and let's pick this group, for instance. Then we think of the type of the sentence. If it is the affirmative sentence or a negative one or a question. So let's pick a question for the demonstration purposes. Then we think of the tense, like when the action takes place. Does it take place in the present, past, or future? Let's pick the past, perhaps. Then comes the aspect. So they are the types of the tenses. So this is where the properties of the action are important. Let's pick perfect. So together it makes past perfect in connection to he, she, it, and it's going to be a question. That's what we know so far. Then the last property left is the voice, which tells what is the primary information in this phrase. Yeah, is it about the subject, about someone who does it, who does the action, or if it is about the object. So then we have 2 voices, active and passive ones. So let's pick the passive voice. What happens next is, so we click on either these pluses or we click on this icon. So let's click here. Then in this area of the sheet, in the tables, we're going to see these 3 sections. The first one is the form. So it's going to show you how you build the phrase or a sentence based on these 5 properties. Across the entire sheet, you will be able to see those notes that help you and that explain what you're going to see in it. So in this case, if we pick past perfect continuous, it's a question, past perfect, and it's a question in the passive voice. So this icon shows that it's a passive voice. We have this form. Had she been admired, for instance. Next, you'll see this section of an example. Here is the reference verb that is used in the example, and below you'll be able to see the phrase. In this case, it's had he been admired for his leadership skills. That is an example of the use of this form, of this tense. Right. And then after that, let's return here. So if you are not sure what this icon means, the timeline or the voice, so we can click here, and below the table you'll see the legend, which explains what these icons stand for. Right? So for instance, if you see this speaker icon, that gives you a choice of either the active voice or passive voice, and here comes the magic. If you change any of these properties, for example, if you change the type of the sentence or the tense, right, it's going to interact with these, with this input, with all the things that you pick. Okay, let's proceed with this one. So for example, for future perfect active, now we have this verb verify. Verify. So and the form is will have verified. As you can see, it's going to be quite the same for I and other groups, for you with they. But the example changes and it adapts depending on the form, right? So what happens next also is you can try to visualize when this action takes place in the timeline. So, and here you can see the visual representation of this timeline. So that starts in the past and finishes in the somewhere in the future. In the middle, it's the present, right? So if you see this icon here, it means that we try to imagine the future. If you see these icons, we can see it's a process. So there will be a certain process in the future, and which will have finished by a certain time, a certain point in the future. So this icon means that it's a finished result, for instance. So if you pick the past perfect tense, for instance, it shows you it's a single, so like there has to be a single event in the past that another event, an earlier action, refers to, and they are related. You can see it from the example, right? So this is the form, and that's the reference verb clarify. So they had clarified the misunderstandings among themselves. In this example, so there's no reference action, so let's check this one perhaps. Yeah, that's a good one. Discussing the expectations had clarified the terms and conditions before they signed the contract. So it means that now we have these two events, had clarified and signed, so and they refer to these two icons. So we still are very focused on how this entire sheet works, not exactly how tenses work, right? I hope you're following. Okay, fine. So this is pretty much what you're going to see in the first tab. It's called Tables. Form, example, and timeline. All of these elements depend on the properties you pick. Okay, now we can fold it. And by the way, so clicking on these icons is also possible in this sheet. But to make it work, you'll have to authorize via Google to be able to use these scripts, right? I mean, some of them are clickable, and even this video is going to be available if you click here, right? If you click here, for instance, so this resets the entire dashboard to the initial state. I mean, if it feels kind of messy and if you want a quick reset, so this is the icon, you click here. But once again, you'll have to authorize via Google. Just click allow, permit everything and permissions, right? So it's easy. And then after that, you'll be able to use these ones. So you click here and it unfolds all the other tabs too, right? So in the second tab, there's calendar. And this is an approach to view how these tenses work, right? That is based on the calendar view, pretty much. So imagine that the 11th of a certain month is today, and in relation to today, right? So the certain event takes place. So if the example is the following: I create homemade gifts for my friends and family. In the timeline, we can see that this is like distributed evenly, pretty much in the timeline. So it happens here and there, and so it's a repeated action. That's what it means, the symbol. We'll see the same in the calendar too, right? And so that's the form as well, right? You're going to be able to see all of these properties and features at the same time. So if you pick present continuous, for instance, so that gives you this image. right? So the action is happening around now. Maybe it's not like literally that it happened. It started happening yesterday. It's happening today, and it is going to continue to happen tomorrow. But it just gives you an idea, a rough idea of how this works, like where you should look for when it comes to using this tense. This area of the sheet as well explains, like gives a very brief explanation of the function of certain aspects and the tenses. So present continuous stands for this: actions happening right now, around this time, or in the near future. Some of the extra cases are also used, but they are made brief for a purpose, let's say. So because there are so many grammar reference books that give you very extended explanations of how they work, how tenses work, right? And this chart just focuses on essentials of that. Like, once again, if you pick, for instance, present, okay, perfect continuous, yeah, it just changes a bit. So and there's this image now. So it shows that it's an ongoing process until now, and it is going to continue. Means that it's a continued action. It doesn't stop today, let's say. Actions that started in the past and continue to the present. If you compare that with present perfect, yeah, so that icon changes, but it gives you another explanation. They're completed actions that started in the past and have a connection to the present. Easy, right? Once again, so you can, like, they are pretty interactive, so you can refer from, okay, well, basically you can look up information in all of these areas at the same time. So if, for instance, the image is not clear, so you can look into the example and you will probably have an idea of how that works. I have realized I can dance quite well. I've realized. Like, maybe I had a feeling about that earlier, and I have finally realized. Speaking of the words like finally and all other ones, so there's another tab which is about time phrases. So there are all the expressions and adverbs that give you reference, like with which words exactly you can use those tenses. For instance, okay, let's pick another example, maybe with he, past, before. So here we can see the word before in the example, yeah, and we can also find it here, because past perfect often uses the word before, and it often can use the word after, until, and all of the other ones in this list. So this is the list of the frequency adverbs that are commonly used with certain tenses, right? And once again, it adapts, and for a better view, you can either maybe minimize the screen, or you can fold certain tabs, right? So if you just want to see time phrases, right, so you can fold everything and carry on with this, right? So in case you are interested in future continuous, yeah, you'll see that here. Calendar, no problem, right? You'll see this here too, and it's going to be a very compact view, right? Okay, so once again, throughout the entire sheet, you're going to be able to see some guidance still. There are notes, yeah, that give you some hints, right? So like of the active areas of the sheet. So that's quite it when it comes to just interaction with this sheet and using this reference, right? And so this is the first type of this kind of sheet, right? So it is based on the form. This might be useful, especially for the students who are already aware of which exact tense you're looking for. When you know exactly that you you have to look up future continuous or past simple be cases, right? But quite often it happens so that the student or anyone is unaware like of what tense exactly they have to use. So this is why there's the second tab here, and it uses a bit different approach. It's quite the same. I mean, in terms of everything, the tabs like these areas, tables, calendar, and time phrases are just the same in the second tab, right? But what changes is this dashboard. Just one element is a bit different, and it's this one. What kind of action is it? So this is where you have to answer and to be able to tell what you would like to express in your sentence. Is it a state? Is it a regular action? Is it a finished result? Is it a longer process over time? Yeah, so and just depending on what you pick here, you'll be able to see the resulting form, right? And if that is used in the passive, it will also tell here, right? So once again, it also adapts to whatever you pick here. Past simple, yeah, let's pick, for instance, past continuous. Yeah, so this would mean past ongoing process, passive. As you can see, right, all the other elements still work accordingly. Yeah, it's quite the same there. But you may pay attention to to this combination, past perfect continuous and any perfect continuous in the passive. In this table, wouldn't really have a form or an example, right? A reference verb. So they wouldn't really have that because when it comes to these tenses, they are not used commonly. So it is not an error. This is like how it works. Yeah, we like this form would be way too complex. But when it comes to all the other ones, yeah, no problem. So it returns that. It shows you this. Once again, so if it is a bit messy, you can click here. Yeah, it will reset to to present state in this case. This is a representation of a state, as you see. Like it happens all the time. I am a friendly person. It's always like this, right? You can check the words used with present simple here. Once again, it's always like this. Yeah, and you can even combine this with these examples. Like I am usually a friendly person, but today something's happening. Yeah, or I am seldom. You can also pick other examples here too. She is, in general, she is a talented musician, etc. So you can find your own ways how you would make these areas work together, and maybe at this point it starts to make sense what makes it the ultimate English verb form collider, because you collide these 5 properties together, and so you have a certain result, you have a certain form which also triggers visual representation of what it looks like and some examples here too, right? Okay, so pay attention. So far, we've just discovered that there are certain active areas, right, that are clickable. So you can, pick. You can start with this dashboard. So start with who does the action, when it happens, what kind of action it is it a statement or a question, who or what is it about a subject or an object. This may sound a bit confusing with this part, but usually we would probably refer to subjects. Like most of the time, we would refer to active voice. Okay, so what else is happening here? If we unfold this part, okay, so far you've probably been able to see those tabs as well here. There are some additions here, and they're also clickable, so you'll be able to see some links that you can use to contact me if you have a question about that, if you want to send some feedback, if there's something you love about it, or if there's something you hate about it, feel free. I'll be grateful, to receive any feedback about this. So far, it is more or less a complete version, I believe, but there is some room for improvement at all times, I believe. In case you want to book a lesson where you are explained how this works, and when you want to practice using tenses in a better way, in a more detailed way, welcome. You can feel free to write to me here using this link. It's Telegram reference. If there is a problem, right, if you come across something that is kind of raw, or maybe that something doesn't really return you, or maybe there's a script that doesn't work, report those issues to my email as well, or to Telegram, right? So here's the contact. So this is the title pretty much, of this entire sheet. And that is the logo, right, of the many other products, that's like I'm going to come up with later. They're not really products, but they are more like learning tools. Everything that is aimed at giving you a better experience of learning English. All right, and so there's another couple of things here. Okay, let me actually click here so that everything unfolds. So now you know about the legend, these 4 tabs, but there's one more thing, right? It's right here. So at this point, these sheets are provided to you directly. So like what that means, if you have that sheet, so you probably have somehow contacted me, right? So, and your name is going to be here. It's your personal working space, right? And there's also a lifetime warranty coupon. What that means is 2 things. So first of all, English grammar, right, and the tenses most likely are not subject to change within the following 50 years or 100 years. I mean, like, it's not going to change a lot in the future, right? So that's why I can pretty much provide you with a lifetime warranty. That is, it should work. It should always work, like this, the way it is stated. And the other aspect of this warranty coupon is that, if you delete something here, accidentally, or if something doesn't work again, I can provide you with a clean version of the sheet. Okay, so far I've told you about these 2 tabs in this sheet, right? And this is like the most complete, right, like workspace with these grammar references, and that is why it is called. Okay, so the main name is VerbFlex, of this learning tool, but this is also the model VerbFlex Pro 3000 limited edition max. It covers everything, right? And it's got these 2 awesome tabs. All right. So I guess at this point, it's also important, to consider some extra ways how you can practice this. Just using this sheet, you will be able to actually, train some others. Like, if you know anyone who is struggling with tenses, a great way to practice these tenses for yourself is to teach someone else, how these things work. So it will kind of help you memorize the rules and the forms and the way events are arranged in time, right? So that's one way you can actually teach others using this one. And just by doing this, it will tell you how well you understand what's happening here, what's going on. Right. Well, there also is an important aspect of resistance, perhaps, yeah, of using this kind of sheet. Now, after this presentation, so it may look a bit confusing and a bit complex to use at this point, although it's pretty easy. It must be pretty easy to use, yeah. But still, yeah, there in the long run, there might be some resistance. Like, okay, you may own it, you may have it, you may have a copy of this sheet, right? But even when you're doing some grammar tasks, yeah, or like when you really need that, so there, it might be a bit complex, maybe like to refer to this at this stage because it's a sheet, yeah. And I know that although there are billions of users of all kinds of spreadsheet software monthly, right? Some people are still not fans of using Excel or Google Sheet, yeah. So this might be one resistance, and what I'm doing about it is trying to adapt it to a web app, like a web application, something that doesn't really require the interface of a sheet of Google Sheet, yeah. So you'll be able to use it like on a page, and just like any other application. So there is a workaround, yeah, about it. What else? So you could like keep it in your Google Docs, but what I recommend is maybe at least make a bookmark, right, and maybe add it to quick access websites on your homepage on your browser, right, and so it will be a bit easier and quicker to access this. So you like don't lose it. Use it or lose it. There's an important phrase that applies here too. At least, well, those are the things that I would use this table. Yeah, I would attach it to bookmarks or to homepage. Right. Also, like what might seem a bit confusing is probably like there might be too much information, you might think. But once again, just focus on certain areas of these tabs. Yeah. Maybe the main focus, yeah, for you would be just the form, right? Just the form and an example. So just see how this works and work with this, little by little, step by step. You can get used to, to navigating with the sheet. I sincerely believe that it is important to use this sheet when it comes to grammar reference, because anything I've seen online, like, so those would either be, endless tables with those like variations of a certain verb, right? So, so you would like be able to see many short examples, right, of how those verbs change depending on the tense. So, and I haven't found anything pretty much like this online, but if you know something like this, yeah, which adapts and which is interactive, please let me know. I'll be so happy to see it myself as well. And like if you look for some books, like grammar reference books, yeah, that give you an explanation of how all of this variety works together, they usually don't, don't give a clear idea of how that works still most of the time. And this is an attempt. Yeah, of providing you with a clear representation of a form, example, timeline, time phrases. Once again, it's something that you can keep like for a very long time, and use it together with others in class or on your own. All right, so that's quite it. And before I finish, just let me tell you one more thing. Although it sounds like a great idea to start using this kind of sheet in your work, practice, and learning, it's definitely going to take some getting used to. It'll take some time, but I really hope that this video has provided you with enough instruction and ideas of how to use, how to how to use this sheet and how to make it work and how to make the most out of it. So I really hope that you'll find it useful and you'll find it easy to work with. If there are any suggestions, questions and requests, feel free to contact me. We'll proceed developing new learning tools for you. Right, enjoy.